Thank you for your interest in Kelsoft Time-Ade. This video will cover the initial setup tasks of creating charge categories, projects, and timesheet charges. I'm assuming that you've already connected your company to Time-Ade with the QuickBooks Web Connector and that you've set up your users and timesheet period definitions. Those topics are covered in separate videos. Let's log into Time-Ade as the admin user. We'll start with charge categories. Time-Ade charge categories group elements in the connected business system that are not associated with a specific job or task. Since we're connecting to QuickBooks, those elements would be such things as payroll items, service items, and whether the time is billable to the customer. I'll start by adding employee charge categories for non-project indirect items such as holiday, paid time off, overhead, and G&A. And if a charge category is flagged as leave, it can be used for charges in the future. Next, I'll add a couple of employee direct charge categories, one for a project manager and one for senior engineer. I'm using abbreviations here to ensure that the full timesheet charge is short and legible on a smartphone. There's the project management service item. It's a project charge. We'd like to assign it to new projects by default, and it's billable. Now we'll put in the senior engineer. Which we're mapping to senior developer over in QuickBooks. It's a project charge, assign it to new projects, and it's also billable. I'll finish with the charge categories by adding a subcontractor charge category. The mapping to QuickBooks is simpler here as it just includes those service items that have a cost in addition to a price. And also it would be indicated whether it's billable or not on the QuickBooks timesheet. You'll also note that there's no payroll item to map here and there's no leave option for subcontractor. We'll move on to project setup. From the list of customers and jobs uploaded from QuickBooks, which you can see here, we'll create projects by selecting the jobs, and by selecting the charge categories in this step we'll also create the timesheet charges. So let's go ahead and pick the jobs. They're separated by a colon. This is the QuickBooks full name. And that's done. Now that those projects were created, let's review them here on the project list. We can make these project names more mobile friendly by shortening them. I'm going to go ahead and do one and then pause recording after I've completed the rest of them. Go back to the project list, and we see the project has been renamed here. As I said, I'll go ahead and pause and come back after they're all done. The project renaming is completed. They're all short names and should be easily read on a mobile device. Also, what we're going to do here is we're going to change the MCal project to authorize all the persons in the company, or all authorized persons can charge to that project. We're going to leave the other ones where we do an individual assignment of people to projects, so we can take a look at both methods. We're also, for a couple of our projects, for the MCal project, we'll add in the ability for we'll add the assignment of the subcontractor charge category that we set up. And we'll do that for this Panther project as well. At this point, in order to complete the charge setup, we need to assign charge categories to persons and assign persons to those projects that are not authorized to everyone. So I'll go back to charge categories, and I'll assign the PTO and holiday charge categories to all employees. I can just select all with Control A, and now we'll do PTO. The same method. Then by the person, I'll assign specific charge categories to those people. So for the subcontractor, we'll assign charge category of that one subcontractor subcategory we had set up. And for Jane Smith, who is our manager and owner, we'll assign her project management as well as overhead and G&A. And for the other user we set up, William Jones, we'll assign overhead, not G&A, and we'll assign the SE charge category. Other than MCal, as we go back to this project list, we need to assign staff members to projects. We can do that by the project or by the employee and the subcontractor. So we'll start off with the Panther project here and assign staff. And we'll pick those three. We can go to this project R and do the same thing. And as I said, we can go by the person and assign them. So let's go to Jane Smith and assign her to projects. Let's see, the only ones that she's not assigned to yet are these two QE projects. And William Jones will be similar. Let's assign him to just the second QE project. We'll finish this setup by assigning Jane Smith as a manager to everyone else. And we can do that by assigning her the staff members that are listed here. Again, this can be done by the individual employee by assigning a manager. You can go at it from both directions. Finally, we will assign her as a manager on these projects. Just do a Control A there. And we'll review our setup by looking at the enabled charges for these people. So looking at Jane Smith, we can see that she can charge these various projects as well as the overhead and the G&A pay time off. Kelsoft can charge to these two different projects. And finally, Jones can charge to this set of projects that we enabled him for. Thank you for watching. Future videos will cover time entry for employees and subcontractors, reviewing the timesheets, and transferring the timesheets. For more information about Kelsoft, please go to www.kelsoft.com and also look at our product page for Kelsoft Time-Ade, which you can also reach by typing in timemade.com into your browser.